Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer, warlock, practicing necromancer. And today I want to bring to you a legal issue, something that I do believe will create and fracture the country even more than it already is. And this is why. Most of you have already probably understood and heard that the United States Supreme Court has literally disbanded the law known as Roe versus Wade. Many of you probably don't even know what that means. So, I want to kind of just give you this kind of rundown because most people will not teach you this. Roe versus Wade basically protected women's rights. Okay? That's right. It protected women's rights to do with her body as she sees fit. Okay. So by removing this and allowing the legal system to implement criminal charges, including the death penalty, okay, for any woman who has or will be considering an abortion basically is in violation of the a little right known as the Freedom of Choice Act. And the Freedom of Choice Act clearly states that no federal, state, or governmental system has the right to deny or limit a woman's right to consider to either bear a child, to terminate a child for her own health and or safety. Okay. Now you consider the United States Constitution rights have been being violated a lot lately. Your ability to create freedom of speech is being completely silenced. Okay. This is your First Amendment right to speak freely. And it's allowing the government to commit more and more violations of your constitutional rights by doing this. Not just violating your freedom of religious rights, which has been going on since the founding fathers of this country created this land and this country for all to be free. Okay? All to be free. Now, what's interesting to note with this particular law is that if a woman chooses to have an abortion, she could be charged with murder. She could be charged and put to death. Now, the Department of Human Services, depending on where you are in the country, it's also known as the Department of Ecological Affairs as well, especially if you're in the Southwest. Okay. In the Northeast, it's known as the Department of Human Services. We've all heard of Child Protective Services. Okay. This is that system. And if you actually contact them and say, hey, I have an unborn child on the way, this is what's going down. What can I just want to let you know that this individual is planning to do this. Well, guess what? They will look at you and say, it's not a real child. You cannot physically see the child. You cannot physically hold the child. So, therefore, in their eyes, the child does not exist. Okay. So, I found this one out 10 years ago. Okay, with a friend of mine who had an issue with his girlfriend that just got up and took off on him, and she was pregnant, and he ended up contacting Child Protective Services, and this is what they told him. So it's like, okay, I see where they stand when they're supposed to be protecting children. Okay. Now, you also have different groups that are in place to protect your individual rights. For men, you have a system that was created specifically for single fathers. Okay, their duty is to make sure that you get your, how should I say, I wouldn't say your benefits, but more of the fact that your rights are not being violated in any way. Okay. Now, the American Civil Liberties Union is where everybody can go to basically protest this. Okay. And it's not just here, it's also the Department of Justice because it falls underneath federal law. Okay. All of this falls under federal jurisdiction. Now, just a little while ago, I was underneath my phone and I was going through the notifications and I found one on my news app for local um, news on this one law. Okay. And of course, the only people that they interviewed, as usual and predicted, is Christians. And it happens to be a Christian that, let's just say, I have history with, okay? Not just me, but my better half, because it's my better half's mother. Um, and as being a black magician and a sorcerer, you can imagine where she stands on that. I mean, we're talking about a woman who literally forces a newborn to go underneath a metallurgical scan, which is similar to how should I say this, CAT scan device. Okay. Holds the kid down, goes after her own daughter, and then makes up lies with premeditated perspectives using her position as a counselor on numerous boards. I'm talking pediatrics, I'm talking DHS, and counseling. No ramifications of this took place by her doing this. None. And here's the thing that's going to really fry your antennas. The last 2 years, we've seen half the country burn, the other half up in arms, creating riots, cops murdering people, tasering them when they're begging for mercy. And yet, we have learned nothing from this. In fact, we have not learned anything from any era of history. Why? Ignorance is bliss. I predict that by removing this law that protects women's rights, it is going to literally go further and further into the JDO Christian institution's hands. I mean, think about it. How many Christians out there are already ecstatic with joy? Ecstatic with joy. Okay? Why? Because the Bible, and this is something they will not show you or teach you. In the Bible, a woman and her body belongs to a man. It is seen as nothing more than property. And if you're going by the Hebrew and Jewish customs, if a man rapes or assaults a woman, not only does that consider that he laid next to her and bedded her, they're legally married now. Okay? That is their custom and their way. That is their way. This is where the Judo Christian institutions derive from. The Rayo versus Wade law gave her the option, gave the woman an option to terminate that child. And now that it's been removed, any woman who has been assaulted and ends up impregnated, you have to bear that child. Otherwise, you're charged with murder and most likely to the fullest extent, which means the death penalty. So you see, it's not just going to be a religious war, but this country is going to be more and more divided. I'm talking segregation, I'm talking religious hatred, I'm talking a lot of different factions here is going to take place. And if the predictions put forth by Elon Musk of the world is taking place, guess what? This is just one of those stories. It's going to be put into a prophecy, fortune telling, whatever the fuck you want to call it, is taking place before your eyes. And I guarantee it, they're going to do this. And Christians are going to go on unafraid. They're going to be celebrating. You're going to have all other factions. I'm talking witchcraft, I'm talking pagans, Wiccans, Satanists. I'm talking a lot of different factions are going to go up in arms and riot and rebel against them. Not just against the Christians, but also against the government. Because as I just stated a little bit ago, under the Freedom of Choice Act, no federal institution, meaning the legal system, has a right to limit or deny a woman's choice. Ouch. Talk about a kick in the urethra. For those of you who don't know what a urethra is, that's your balls. That's your dick. And you know what? The legal system needs a good, swift kick in the. You want to act stupid? You want to listen to your Christian masters? Go right ahead. See what happens. World War III is already kicked off with Russia invading Ukraine. The Axis and the Allies are already at each other's throats. Where do you think the final war, World War, is going to take place? Not in Europe, right in your backyard. It's going to happen right here in the United States where everybody's going to converge. And you know what I have to say about that? Right there. Because for me, and this goes out to all you ladies, I'm in your corner. You have a right to do with your body as you see fit. That's all I got to say. Your body, your choice. And I'd recommend to all of you, do your homework into the legal system. Do your homework into the United States Constitution. This just took a 2-second Google search to bring up. And when I say that this country has learned nothing from the previous 300 years since its founding, I'm not joking. Go to the blue law. Go to the Constitution, and you'd be surprised how much of your rights are already being limited and denied. My advice to you, look at the legal system and put your foot on their proverbial throat. I'm not telling you to go out and knock any officer down and do that. No. saying to do that to any legal representative. I'm talking do it from a legalized perspective. And I want to make that clear because if you don't step up, you're going to wake up one morning and every single one that you hold dear is gone. How many times have I spoken on religious rights from European to right here in the United States? How many times have I told you what your legal action is capable of doing? How many times? And now look at the world today. Over the last 2 years, I predicted things. I said things. And now Christians are rising in again, and your rights are being violated. Step up, say no more. We're done. Take back your country because those in office clearly are corrupted. They are clearly corrupted. And this latest action by the Supreme Court proves just that. Keep your eyes open. Keep your ears to the ground because I guarantee it, there's going to be another uproar. There's going to be another set of rioting. And I guarantee it, this time around, a civil war, second civil war, is going to take place and it's going to erupt. They're attacking people's personal rights to bear arms, which is the Second Amendment. Religious rights are being violated. Your personal right to free speech is being violated. And now this, how much more are you going to sit back and take before you stand up and say no more? Take back your country. Kick these motherfuckers out of the office that they have sworn to uphold. And let's begin afresh. Let's begin anew. We don't need to be fighting a war overseas. Pretty soon that war is going to come here. That I have no doubt. But the choice is yours. Step up or be a slave to the system. Choice is yours. Just figured I'd put my 2 cents in. Have a good night.